interesting. It keeps flipping. Do
I
you have it
know,
on a stand?
it's on my, yeah, that's why, because I keep trying to like adjust the volume and then I think it wants to just turn it off.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Welcome to technology.
I know.
Okay, where's your sidekick? Where's
she? Carly?
Yeah.
Okay, she's so tired because I feel like a neglectful mom. Like we went for a hike yesterday and she hasn't been like out running like miles for a while. And so we did like 4 miles yesterday and she
Wow.
which is probably like 5 for her by the time she, runs back and forth. And so yeah, today she's like, I'm all set. Like, don't come look for me. Don't bother me. Don't ask me to do anything. Yeah.
If you want to go and work out, you're on your own.
Yeah, literally. Like, I don't need to go pee. I don't need to do anything. Like, don't make me go for a walk. I'm like, Carly, I wonder if I could get her to come in here. Maybe she was in here. She was in here with me earlier.
That's a lot of miles for, I'm assuming, sorry, I'm a little out of it. Is that, it's a dog, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I see the picture in the background. I'm like, I think I'm on the same page that this is the dog.
Yeah. I'm like, no, that's just my like 4-year-old that I just make run around, no big deal.
I didn't think that. But...
Well, Ashley Randall is so into fitness that she makes her 4-year-old child do 4 miles.
Yeah. I'm like, how old are you? Perfect. Get outside and do that. Oh my God. If I had a child, everyone always jokes with me. They're like, if you ever had a kid, like your kid would be like the fittest child ever. And I'm like, or they would just hate that I work out and they might be like Carly, like, don't bother me.
Well, today we are talking to Ashley Randall, who has her fitness business, and you've been in the business for 15 years. Is that correct?
Yeah. Not to age myself, but yeah. It's been about 15 years, maybe a little longer now.
And how did you get started?
Oh man. So originally, I mean, I've always been active as a kid, ADD, bouncing off the walls, just being a wacky kid. So I was in sports and everything. And then as I got a little older and I realized, I think like maybe in middle school, that like you could kind of direct this towards a thing. I used to beg one of my best friend's moms to take me with her to 24-hour fitness in the morning. And who even knows what I was doing? Like I was I'm like 15 years old. What was I doing? But I wanted to be in there and I wanted to do something and I just thought it was super cool. And so my mom didn't do that. Like she didn't work out. She, raised me as a single mom. And so she was like, she went to work and she did that and provided that, which I'm very grateful for. So I just kind of started working out. And then when I graduated high school and I found out that I could go to college and also basically learn to work out and to study that, I was like, well, that's probably the only way I'm going to go to school. So I went to San Diego State and I got my degree in kinesiology. And then just from there, I just kept progressing. It was just like, okay, what can I do next? And from group fitness to CrossFit to boxing, I played in a real classy here. I played in a lingerie football league that they had like nationwide for a while. So I've done it all.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, so I've done it all and I've just constantly been, I guess for lack of better words, like a student, of the game. I've always wanted to learn and push myself and test it out on me and help inspire women to feel strong and step outside of the norm of like what female working out would be considered.
And then what got you into the business to have a literal business?
So that was a lot of tough conversations with my mentor. He kind of came into my life at a time in my life when I really needed it. I was in a really bad place and had just gotten out of a really bad relationship where I had been basically trading dollars for hours, and when you're a personal trainer, that's what you do. The client comes, they pay you for that hour, you make money that hour. And when you go on vacation, you don't make any money. And when you're sick, you don't make any money. And eventually you kind of hit a glass ceiling where you can only work so many hours and you can only charge so many dollars for that product. And so he kind of started asking me like, well, what's the goal here? How much do you want to make? What are you going to do when you're not, a hot trainer anymore? Like, what are you actually going to do? And I hadn't thought about that. I just thought, I don't know. This is paying the bills. I guess I'll just figure it out when something isn't working. And so he really kind of helped to get those wheels going and have me really think, hey, not only can I help so many more women if I create a business where I can coach them remotely, but I don't have to be a slave to the dollar per hour, mentality. So there was definitely a hard adjustment, mentally, because I don't know, any of your listeners or if either of you ladies have, but if you've ever worked a job where you are like a bartender or a nanny or something where you're receiving money for that job that day, and then you walk away from that, like that's very uncomfortable because you're like, wait, today I did this, I should be leaving with, $300, $400, $500. And now I just have to hope that all the work that I'm putting into this business, comes to fruition. So there was some definite growing pains with that, but I wouldn't trade it. And I'm so happy now that I have my business and that I've even just met the clients that I've been able to meet.
So are you still in touch with your mentor?
Yes. We talked actually today 2 times.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
I'm sure that is very rewarding for him as well to see you
Yeah.
succeed like that.
It is. And he really pushed me, to get uncomfortable and to, I guess, again, like I said, I wasn't in a great place. So even just to believe in myself, like to believe that there's a better option out there, that I don't have to, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but that I don't have to do that if I don't want to. And I think that was the coolest thing. And so now it's cool, to call him and to ask him like legitimate business questions, like, hey, how do I do this? Or how would I structure this? Or what do you think if I, did it this way? It's like, okay, cool. Like I have a seat at the table. Like you have helped me create a seat at the table.
Did he give you it sounds like obviously as a mentor, he was able to give you a lot of advice. Did he provide any other resources? I mean, starting a business is no easy feat. So did he tell you like books to read or videos to watch or like, here's how you make an LLC? Like those are things that a lot of people, when they start a business, they forget.
Right. Yes. Yes and no. He definitely, he knows that I'm like a fiercely independent person. But also I am a very inquisitive person and a very hands-on person. And so,
right.
Yes, I'm sure that I could have easily just given him some money, or he could have said, here, for 10 grand, someone will just do that all for you. But I wanted to know, like, well, how does that work? How this, how that? So, he gave me some books to read. He put me in touch with, some podcasts to listen to. He himself is really heavy actually in the real estate space and like helping people invest. But still, it's at the end of the day, it's still starting a business, whether you're starting a real estate, flipping business or a dental business or a fitness business. Like, how do you build a foundation? So a lot of it was reading the books, learning how to do sales. I've never had to talk to somebody on the phone and say, hey, I know you don't know me, and I know that I'm asking, for maybe $1,000 from you, but can you just trust me and give me your money? And it's like, what? The best way, and this is maybe a little crass, but he always gives me this example, and it's still something to this day that I'm trying to finesse. But he's like, listen, your customer, again, and I think this goes for anybody, like whoever your customer is, like they want to be dated. They want you to ask questions. They want you to care. If you're at a bar and some dude comes up to you and is like, yo, do you want to go have sex? Like, that's going to be pretty blunt. Like, you're like, okay. But if they talk to you and they ask you questions and you feel comfortable and you're laughing and you have a really good time, the chances that you might go home with them or go on another date with them are so much higher than if I'm just like, hey, so you're out of shape. I can fix that. Do you want to do it? And then you're like,
I love this analogy. This is my
When did you
favorite.
call me, Ashley? When did you call me?
You're like, well, yeah, I'm not saying I'm not going to sleep with you, but like, could we maybe like slow the roll here a
Yeah.
little bit? And it's like, okay, I'm not
Oh,
saying that like
great.
I don't want to get in shape, but like, could you just like give me a second? And I'm like, no, like, do you want to get in shape? Yes or no? Like, so I still have to like learn. I
Mhm,
have to learn the finesse of that like when I'm selling or when I'm talking to a potential client, like
mhm.
I do genuinely care. But in that moment, in the sales moment, it's very much like, do you want my help? Yes or no? Because once you say yes, like I'll give you everything.
Mhm.
But I got to bring you across the line a little smoother, And so that's something I'm still working on.
That's
Yeah.
so I love that analogy. It makes me laugh. But I think it's really interesting. Robyn, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like our business owners that we've talked to on this channel, so many of our successful ones started, they didn't they wanted to not rough it, that's not a good word, but they did all the research themselves. Like they didn't pay someone to do it because like you said, they wanted to learn the ins and outs. Like it was very important to them in the process of starting a business than to like just pay someone to do it. That's
And
what I've noticed.
well, and also our listeners too would say that the people that we've had on, they weren't successful in the beginning. There were many
Right. Yeah.
bumps in the road, and they had to go back and
Mhm.
redesign and go back and redesign and go back and redesign. Did the same happen with you, Ashley?
Yeah. So I will say I did get a little bit lucky. I think with the launching of this business, transitioning, I started right before all the stuff with the pandemic happened.
Mhm.
And I had already gotten a pretty good base like that November, December, January. I was getting the ball rolling really well. So I kind of had the opposite problem, but the same, where the money came in and people were freaking out and gyms were
Mhm.
closing and they were desperate
Yeah.
and they were like, oh my gosh, like, yes, take my money, take my money. And so I kind of created the program literally like by the seat of my pants. Like as the weeks came, I was just like creating and like giving them the next week and the next week. So I didn't have this finished product that I was trying to deliver. The biggest thing that he taught me was first you have to secure the revenue and then you can build the product. Like get paid to build a product before you spend all this time and effort creating a product that you don't know if anybody's going to buy, because
Right.
you could have a designer and a graphic person and an audio person and a blah 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 blah, all this stuff, and spend 10, 20, $30,000 and no one's buying your product. And now you're
Mhm.
freaking out because it's like, oh my gosh, this thing is perfect and no one's coming.
Yeah.
And so his whole thing was like, see if there's even a market out there. See if you can even get somebody, tell them the idea, and they don't have to know if it's being created,
Mhm.
every week, kind of stacking on top of each other. They're doing it 1 week at a time. And I think that's the biggest advice that I would have to someone that's trying to start whatever it is, even to a new mom. Like, you don't have to have it all figured out. Like, just week by week, just figure it out week by week. Things are going to change, things are going to adjust. So, in that regard, yes, I got lucky where I was able to make a good amount of money and I had this product. But then the issue was, okay, now that I have this product, how do I continue to sell this product? How do I continue to streamline this product? How do I make everything smoother or clean it up a little bit? And so that's kind of been the learning curve now on that part of the business, is like, okay, now what?
So you've been in fitness for over 15 years, or 15 years, over 15 years, and then your business sounds like it's about 2 years old
Yep.
ish. What did you do in the meantime in fitness? And I'm wondering, during that time when you were in the gym or hiking or whatever you were doing, were you building routines in your mind as you were progressing through the years in fitness? So when you did have to come up with a program, you're like, I've got this. I've been doing this for the past, 10 years, 13 years. 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 13
So what I did in the, the 15 years in between was so much practical application. Obviously going to school and learning all of that was amazing, and the science and the anatomy was great, but the practical application is where I learned the most. So for, I think maybe 3.5 years, I worked at a CrossFit gym. So, learned heavily about that, especially when CrossFit was kind of just starting, if you will. So really learned about that, challenged myself, got to work with some really intense athletes, as well as just, your everyday normal, mom and dad that would come in after work. So again, that helped me to program, kind of as you were saying, where I can see, okay, we can't just do, legs every day, or we can't do 15 leg exercises in one workout. Like, what is going to be a good flow so that they can get stronger, but still come back tomorrow. And then after CrossFit, I went on to teach a little bit more like functional fitness type of stuff. That's when I started doing more one-on-one training, again, where you're having to kind of create the routines. And then from there, I went on again, still doing one-on-one training on the side, but I went on to work in like a group fitness setting where I am writing a routine every day. And I'm sure, much like a chef that can just kind of walk into a kitchen and feel really comfortable, like I've just spent so many years in this space, trying it out on myself, applying it to others, that if I needed to, walk into, an F45 or an Orange Theory or a YMCA, and someone said, you have 30 seconds, like I need you to, maybe not 30 seconds, but if they gave me like 5 minutes, I would be able to write a really good routine and put somebody through a legitimate, 45-minute workout that would be really sufficient, because it's just so second nature to me. It just comes to me so easily.
Wow. Yeah, I have been, you'd never know, but I've been working out for years and years and years. I just do it for fun. It's never been a passion. It's a hobby. It was something to do. You go with your girlfriends. Um, and I did recently sit down, probably about a year ago, and started to think of all the things that I've done. I've been to boot camps, jazzercise, the step class, the aerobics back in the day. And
Yeah.
it was never a passion. It was more social, I would say,
Okay.
than it was anything. And I've recently, Ashley inspired me. She was starting to do some running. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll try. And as all of our listeners know, it is not my thing. I am trying very hard. I call myself a jogger, and trying to run more than 4.0 miles per hour for more than 2 minutes, which is really the pace that most people walk at. But I don't care. I still go out and do it. I still have a good time. And I do occasionally find myself thinking back to just some crazy movements. And I do follow you, obviously, on Instagram. And I see all these crazy things that you do. And I think, oh my gosh, she is a fitness beast. You are amazing. So for all of our listeners, I will give you Ashley's Instagram handle, and your moves are crazy impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will, I always like to I feel I feel like I need a little disclaimer, because I'll be at the grocery store or I'll be somewhere and someone will stop me and like, "Oh my gosh, like you're so fit, like you're so in shape, like, oh my gosh, like do you work out all day?" And I have to just give the disclaimer. I tell them, very directly, and I would tell your listeners, like, this is my job, I get paid to do this. And so again, just like a chef might whip something up super fast, like that's what they get paid to do. So, you know, it's okay to have fitness be a passion. It's okay for it to not be a passion. It's okay to be a novice, and it's okay to really want to see what you're made of. But I think for me as a coach, especially working predominantly with women now, is it doesn't matter where you are. It just has to be something that you're excited about. And even if that excitement is the social aspect, or if the excitement is that you're seeing a new muscle show up on your shoulder, as long as you're excited, you're going to keep showing up. And that's, to me, as with anything in life. So it has to be exciting.
Mhm.
It sounds too, I mean, kind of on that same vein, it's so cool just you talking about the last 15 years, how fitness has kind of evolved, and you were doing like the football, you know, or the cool stuff. Cause that's how I am too. Like fitness, I would not say is my passion. I run out of necessity because I think it keeps me healthy. I love hiking though. I'll tell you that. I'll go hiking all day long. I could hike 18 miles and I would feel it, but it wouldn't bother me.
I love that.
But it's one of those things where it's like, you're giving your followers, like they can do group fitness, or there's so many different ways. And like you said, as long as they're excited about it, that's what's the most important. I've never really thought about that, like what keeps you going, because I will say I love running because I love seeing my legs get toned. That's just very interesting. Like I'll see new cuts sometimes. It'll show up and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And things that I haven't seen since I was in like middle school when I ran track, you know, but it's just, that excites me. I shouldn't say I hate, I'm trying not to say I hate, but I don't enjoy running as much, but I do it.
Right. But again, it's something that I really, really probably overly kind of hound into my clients that I work with online, is that it doesn't matter what your why is, and your why will change throughout your life.
Yeah.
But whatever your why is at that moment, it has to be stronger than any of your excuses. And I tell them super blunt, like that's one thing, like, when you work with me as a coach, like I'm very, blunt and honest, and just like keep it real. But, I don't care if your why is because you want to be hotter than your sister-in-law on vacation, if your why is because like, you want to have a great butt, if your why is because you want to see your legs look defined, like I don't care what it is, because it's about you, and it's what's going to get you to do the activity. And so a lot of times we hang these, it's like the, carrot in front of the horse. We dangle these very attainable goals in front of us. And then when that goal goes away, we don't have a why anymore. And I want to look good for my vacation. Okay, so what happens when the vacation's over? I want to look good for my wedding. Okay, what happens when the wedding's over? And then it's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, well, that's exactly the problem. And so again, the why can change, and it should change. But, for me, like one of my biggest whys is, obviously the inner athlete that's inside of me, but I want to be able to kind of take on any challenge, essentially like at any moment. And doesn't mean I'm going to be the best or the fastest or the strongest, but it means that if there's a challenge presented to me, I would want to be able to raise my hand and have a seat at the table and say, oh, even for example, 29029, to get the opportunity to coach for that, it was a huge flattering honor to me, because I'm like, wait, you think I can do this? Like, you think, not only do you think I can do this, but like, you think I can coach people to do this? Like, oh, okay. But those are the kind of things that for me, like, I want those opportunities to come my way, and I want to be able to say, yeah, sure, let's go. Like, when do I start?
Yeah.
And so I think if so many people would just switch their mindset around that, they would find, again, it doesn't have to be a passion, but if you become a passion, the results are what you kind of start to get addicted to. And again, whatever those results are, maybe it's just meeting new friends at your local spin class, maybe it's just seeing that you went a little faster today or a little farther today. Like, as long as that becomes your excitement, you're going to want to keep feeling that feeling over and over and over again.
I think for me, it's been, oh, sorry, Robyn, if I interrupted, but
Go ahead.
I think for me, it's like a snowball effect, because when I like, especially, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in a bit, but like nutrition wise, like Robyn and I have been eating a lot healthier this past year, like since COVID. And it's really exciting because I've like upped my vegetable intake, which I was eating a lot before, but like I eat them tons now. And like, I can see how that is affecting my body. Like my skin looks clearer, my hair looks better, my body looks less bloated. Like you can actually tell a difference in the way my skin is. And it's like,
Yeah.
and that's just nutrition wise, but like, and then that makes me feel better. And when I feel better, it gives me the motivation to run. And it's just the snowball effect. And then when I run, I know I feel better on the days that I run. So I do it more. And it's just, that is so exciting. And then you look better and then you want to keep doing it. And that ends up being like the passion for me. It's like, I love all of the effects that it causes. It outweighs how sore I am the next day, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And
going to
sometimes
say,
being sore is exciting. Like
yeah,
you're like, oh, I did it. Like,
I did it.
okay, like that was actually as hard as I thought it was. Like,
Mhm.
okay, like go me.
Yeah.
I have a couple real life, excuse me, examples that maybe our listeners will be able to relate to. One is going back to Ashley Randall, the why. Excuse me. So this morning, literally, there's four of us that meet in the morning and we work out for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 4 times a week. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And I really badly wanted to just say, hey, I'll see you guys on Thursday. I'm too tired. I really want to sleep in. My bed is warm and comfortable. And I thought, nope, I have to get up because I have a why. So I got up, was ready to go, and I'm doing part of the workout. And we can see each other, we can, about like this, you can see, your shoulders and your head moving. And I thought, when I'm on Stratton in 2022, in a year from now, am I going to say, I really regret not doing these bunny hops because I just don't feel like it. So am I going to continue to do these sidestepping, or am I going to do a bunny hop and get off of my feet and put in the energy? Because when I'm trying to get up,
Yeah.
6 ascents, 7 ascents, 8 ascents, 9 ascents, I am going to think back to this day and think you did not put in enough effort into this workout. I'm only asking 30 minutes of myself. I'm only asking 45 minutes of myself. Start bunny hopping. And I tell you what, I was bunny hopping all over the place. So
I want to see a video of this. I need to attend in the morning then.
You should. It's hilarious. But you're right. It's the why.
Yeah.
And just like Ashley, I do see a lot of progress. And, I took pictures when Idaho was going on in
Mhm.
June. And that's basically when I started training per se for 2022. And it's been amazing the past couple of months, not a huge scale victory, but definitely there's definitely a definition change and a different mindset change. And just, now I'll be working on the hard stuff, but
Yeah.
you're right. The consistency is really where it's at. I did get a little too excited there for a while because then I started to have plantar's fasciata,
Oh gosh.
and then the side of my leg started hurting, which the massage therapist told me it was the s- scoliosis, something like that. I don't know. But she just said, it's just because your gait might be off or something might be off if it's hitting one side of your body or the other. But then she was also saying, oh, your muscles feel really good. And I'm thinking they do because I've never been told that before. So you're right. It's the little pieces, but you
Yeah.
can't get too excited, but you still need to be excited.
Yeah.
So
Definitely still need to be excited. And I love what you said about like, as far as not like huge weight loss numbers, but still seeing like composition, because I cannot tell you how many women come to me and that's their first question. Can you guarantee I'm going to lose weight? How much weight can I lose? And then for one, I want to say, I don't know, how hard are you willing to work? How much effort are you willing to put into this? I can't guarantee anything. I know my product and I know what it's capable of delivering, but what are you going to bring to the table? And then the other part of that is, people always say muscle weighs more than fat. It doesn't weigh more than fat. A pound is a pound, but the composition of it is different. It's just much more dense. So, and muscle fiber is much more dense than fat. So yes, a smaller piece of muscle versus a big chunky blubbering piece of fat, they weigh the same, but their volume is different.
Mhm.
And so you might lose 5 pounds of fat, but you may have gained 5 pounds of muscle, but you might look a lot smaller.
Mhm.
And so that's like one of the number one things that I really work on inside my program is like the full recompositioning is let's not worry about the scale. For one, who says what that number should dictate to us? But let's worry about how we're feeling, how our clothes are fitting, how you're able to do more or just move through the world in a more comfortable space, how maybe you're running a little faster, your pants are a little looser. Like, let's focus on those things because those things could mean put you in the best mood ever. And you could step on the scale and it could be the exact same number as it was 6 months ago. But you're like, wait a minute, I've gone down 2 pant sizes. Like, okay, then who cares what that number says? Like, you just went down 2 pant sizes. Like, hello, like that's amazing. Or
Yeah, I couldn't wear this sweater probably 4 months ago. I can wear it just fine. Scale says the same. My bras fit differently. I know that's a big change. Scale still says the same. I'm happy with my results. I'm cranking along.
Good. Good for you.
I took a look at your Instagram and I think it was I was looking and you have a lot of like side by sides like before and after, and that was so inspiring to look at because, and like you said, I think a lot of people, and you had this in your little tagline, like no more yo-yo diets, because I think our society is like, I want to lose weight, I want to lose it quick, and how do we do it? And like everyone gets into these diet fads and stuff, but I think those pictures are so inspirational. We have to not forget that there is so much time and effort that those ladies put in to get where they were. Like they look great because they were dedicated to it. And like, I love that you are a champion for no yo-yo diets. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's something that and not to go off on too much of a tangent, but it is, in this industry where a lot of the hype is created around, hey, I was 30 pounds overweight and I lost weight. Hire me as a coach. Like, I know what it's like to be overweight and now I'm not. And not to say that there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, my story is like, hey, I have been committed and dedicated to this for years. I have been consistent and I want to show you that being consistent, it doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be all the way up and all the way down. It can be consistent effort will get you the results, and the results that you can actually maintain versus peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And even just from a scientific standpoint, like peaks and valleys are really hard on your body, really, really hard. And again, it's like, hey, I would rather that you are a person who says every day, or 5 days a week, I get out there and I walk or run, 3 to 5 miles. Okay, that would be great for me. Like, I would be like, cool, like you're dedicated, you're committed to that versus, well, 1 day a week, I'll like go to spin and then I lift weights and then like I take a hot yoga class all in the same day. And then I'm so freaking sore that I have to take like 5 days off. And then like I get back to it again on Monday. Like, okay, I don't care then that on Monday you killed yourself in the gym. You just had to recover for 5 whole days. Like that's not going to get you to where you want to be. So it's like, let's just make some small actionable changes that work with our lifestyle that you can maintain, because there's nothing worse in any area of your life, in love, in finances, in working out, that is like, hey, here's this amazing thing, but you have no idea how to keep that. So you're going to get it for a really short amount of time and then it's going to go away. And you're like, wait, what? Like, I want to keep that. And it's like, yeah, but in order to keep that, it's not possible. Like, that's horrible. Like, why would no one would want that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of it.
Like,
Yeah,
you would
like an influx of money and then no money at all.
Right.
Kind of.
Like, hey, here's, an extra 50 grand this month. And you're like, whoa, that was awesome. Okay, but you have no idea how to maintain that income. And I'm actually not going to show you how to maintain that income. So just enjoy it. And you're like, okay. Again, it's like you diet and you deplete yourself and you restrict yourself and you do all these things. And you're like, oh man, I looked so good on my vacation. And then you get on vacation and you gain weight and you come home and you gain weight. And it's like, oh shit, what now? Like, Now you're frantic because you're back, if not maybe more than where you started. And it's all this defeating process again. It's like, well, that's not cool.
Well, and especially with the holidays coming up, and Ashley, yes, we'll get back to the nutrition part too, because that's always my question is nutrition.
Right.
What advice and what programs do you have for ladies or even gentlemen if they want to join your programs? What advice do you have going into the holidays?
So my biggest advice that I tell my clients and that I would tell anybody, and I even honestly tell myself, is that it's just a day. And if we can treat them as just a day, then it's okay. It's when the day becomes a whole week and then the week becomes a whole month. And so, yeah, if it's Thanksgiving or it's your birthday or a holiday party or Christmas, and you indulge a little bit more than you should, whatever that looks like, food, alcohol, both, whatever, it's just a day. And you have to compartmentalize that. And we got to just move on. Just as if you were to have a really bad day. You know, if something happened and you had a really bad day, you're not going to wake up the next day just thinking, okay, well, I'm just assuming today is going to be another horrible day. Hopefully you wouldn't think that. If you do, then you definitely need to join my program. But it's just like, okay, that happened. And you just kind of move on. And then my other piece of advice is that everything, just in moderation, things are okay. You know, do we need to sit for 3 hours with our aunt or uncle and black out on eating crackers and cheese? No, we probably don't need to eat cheese and crackers for 3 hours and be like, oh, whoops. But yeah, if you're having some appetizers and you have some cheese and crackers, or you eat something that maybe you wouldn't normally, or you have some pie, or you have a couple extra drinks, like, enjoy yourself, because that's at the end of the day, like, it is life. And it's about enjoying these moments, these holidays, the conversations, the people that you don't normally get to see. But at the end of the day, it is just a day. And it doesn't mean that we have to then eat like that all week long or drink like that all week long. And my biggest thing too is, it's kind of like, just love yourself enough to care enough. You know, love yourself enough to hold yourself accountable. And at this day and age, there is, you know, no one's going to hold your hand. No one's going to hold you accountable. No one's going to say, hey, Robyn, hey, Ashley, I thought you were like doing this program where you were trying to change your lifestyle and make healthy habits. Like, no, they're going to probably want to feel better about maybe the not so good choice they're making. So when you also make that not so good choice, they're going to bring you right down with them. And they're going to be like, okay, cool. She'll have another glass of wine. I'll have another glass of wine. And it's like, okay, but wait a minute, you know, I'll still sit here with you. I'll laugh with you. I'll hang out with you, but I actually have a workout plan tomorrow and I want to wake up feeling really good. So I'm actually going to not have that glass of wine. Doesn't mean I'm going to leave. Doesn't mean I'm going to judge you. But for me, this is just what feels better.
That is amazing advice, and it hits to the core.
Yeah.
Love yourself enough to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I was literally just thinking about that in the car. Like, I don't drink really ever anymore. And it's because, like, part of it, I do have a lot of allergies to alcohol, but I realized that I just don't like it. I don't feel good after it. And I'm like, I'd rather, and like, people always, you know, people pressure you. It's weird how other things they don't do that with. Alcohol's a weird one, but
you know what? It's so, and I'm just going to pause you for a second, because I have a thought about that I think is so interesting that people do, they judge you with that and they pressure you. If you went to a dinner party and you said like, oh, I'm vegan, or I don't eat chicken, or I only eat red meat, no one's going to judge you and give you a hard time and say, oh, come on, Ashley, just eat the chicken. Like, they're just going to be like, okay, she doesn't like to eat chicken. Cool. But like, when all of a sudden you say, I'm not drinking, everyone has an opinion. Why? But like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Someone told me, and I cannot remember, this was years ago, but someone told me and this has been a huge impact on me, but you don't have to justify why you don't drink. Like someone told me that, and it has been so freeing, because that's the first question they ask you is why. And it's like,
Right.
okay, what if they're an alcoholic and they don't want to share that?
Right.
Or like, what
Or
if
why do you drink? Like,
there's a myriad
why
of
not
other
just
reasons why people don't drink. And so I just say,
right,
I just don't, like, and I don't have to
yeah,
explain why I don't. I just don't.
right, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
It's
it's
there's
like,
something
go ahead.
there's something within our society that is just very, um, I mean, I guess for lack of better words, just kind of obsessed with alcohol. You know, most other cultures and countries, like it's not as taboo, it's not as restricted, it's not as just like, oh, this thing. It's like, okay, you know, you could be 14 and have a glass of wine with your family and it's much more relaxed. But here it is so taboo and almost so expected that yes, when you don't, and I tell my clients this, that like it really says more about the other person than it does about
Yeah.
you. Like their discomfort, their wondering why is really just mirroring back to them. Like, okay, well, if she's saying no to this, should I be saying no to this? Like, why am I not saying no? It's just it makes people uncomfortable.
It makes them
And
very uncomfortable.
very
It's been a huge, not a huge test, but it's been a really exciting like reminder each time I say no about boundaries, because it's like
yeah.
I've gotten really good about saying no and not telling people a reason why and just being okay with it and not letting them push. And it's really exciting because I feel like every time it's like getting better at having the wall and saying, you know, you drinking does not affect my decision too. My decision does not affect you. Do what you want,
Correct.
but you can't pressure
Totally.
me to push past the boundary that I don't want to.
Right.
That's a whole
And that's
time.
just a really, I think that that's a good example. Honestly, that's, and again, I know I keep saying this, but like that's another thing that I really talk to my clients about is that you have no idea the impact that you could potentially be having on someone else's life. Like you know, one of the things that or that I encourage in the program is to share your journey. Like talk to your family, talk to your coworkers, tell people in your life that you joined a program, tell them that you're taking steps. So often we are, you know, we think, oh, nobody cares or whatever it might be. But really, like, they might not care. They might give you a hard time, you know, they might rouse you a little bit, but they also might be watching and they might be taking little bits and pieces of the things that you do. Oh, huh. I noticed Ashley's looking really good. I noticed Robyn has been, you know, jogging more. Oh, huh. Okay. Like maybe I should start doing that. Or, oh, her skin is really glowing and she's not drinking. Okay. Huh. And that just starts to go into their head and they may never, ever say anything to you, but it might be just the thing that they were needing to hear or to see to say, oh, okay, like, cool, she can do it. Or, you know what, I bet you she's going to quit. And then they see, oh, you know what? Wow, she's still not really drinking. Okay. Like, and again, it just helps to reinforce them that, like, it's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to say, you know what? For me, this just isn't what I want to do. And that's okay.
Yeah. It's like we're creating a little army of like, I love that. It's like a little ripple effect. It's like
Yeah.
little things. Cause I think if you see it enough, it can make a huge change.
100%. And just in the opposite too.
Right.
Yeah, when Ashley started running, jogging, I was like, yeah, I really need to do this. I need to get on the bandwagon because I love walking. I love going on hikes, but it was the jogging and the running part that I didn't. But because of Ashley, I started doing it.
And I think part of the reason I started running is because my brother and his girlfriend run a lot, and they would invite me on their little runs, and that's when I got really into it.
Yeah.
So it's like they helped me. They run a lot more than I do.
But see, like you said, I mean, perfectly said, like the ripple effect. You know, you never know who's watching. I've had people in my program tell me just out of the blue one day, like their coworker was like, hey, I just wanted you to know that like I started, you know, bringing my lunch to work because I see that every day, like you know, you don't come and eat out with us. And it's like, oh, like I didn't even know you were watching me do that. And that we never even had a conversation. You just, or she just, you know, stayed at the office and ate while everybody else went out. And it clearly, you know, maybe there was some physical changes that her coworker also saw. And maybe she made the connection of like, oh, wow, so-and-so is looking really good. And she's not eating out with us every day. Like maybe I should try that. So you never know, who is watching. And, that even goes for families. I've had moms come and tell me like, oh, my daughter, saw that I'm making healthier choices, or my daughter, sees me go downstairs into the garage and like she asked like if she could come or she could come and hang out. And it's like, that's cool. Like that's generational impact that is waving through everybody to where it's like, you have no idea, that girl could grow up to be like me. That was just like, hey, someone took interest in me and took me to the gym. And now here I am and doing what I'm doing.
And does she know? Does she know that you're still on your fitness path?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
she does.
That is
She's
awesome.
great. She's amazing. She lives in Costa Rica. Her daughter and I are still very close. And yeah, she definitely knows. I tell her all the time that I'm like, Sally, like if it weren't for you, like taking me to 24 again, I would love to see a video. Like, what was I actually doing? Like, I don't even know what I could have been like scrawny old, like 13, 14-year-old me. Like, what could I have possibly been doing? But I wanted to go and I wanted to be a part of that culture. And I wanted to be a part of those people, the people that wanted to do whatever it is at that age that I thought they were doing. Like I wanted, to touch the cloth. That's what my mentor always says. Like people want to touch the cloth of the things that they think are really cool. And I wanted that. I wanted to know what that was.
Such a cool story. I just love, it's like it's part of your story and just
Yeah,
inspiration. That's so neat.
it is cool.
Do you have openings coming up, and are you able to tell our listeners about your programs?
Yes, I do have some openings coming up. I know a lot of times people are super hesitant. So if you guys are listening to this and it is still the holidays, I know people are really hesitant to start stuff during the holidays. And that would be my biggest encouragement is start now. Start when it's messy. Start when it's hectic. That's when we need the most support, not when the waters are calm and everything's going easily. Like we need the support and the guidance when we're feeling a little rocky. So I do have some openings, and it is 12 weeks. I always ask that clients give me 12 weeks, give themselves 12 weeks, really honor the process of seeing change. We all know that it takes way more than 12 weeks, but I think at minimum, to really give yourself a solid 3 months to have some rough patches, hit some bumps in the road, hit some successes, like get your stride going is the best. And then, the next thing you know, it's February and you're like, hey, I'm ahead of the game here. I'm feeling good. I look good. And now I'm ready to continue on with this lifestyle in whatever that looks like, another program with me, or just, hey, I have the tools to go be successful.
Do you have progressive programs? So maybe a beginner, intermediate, advanced, or
Yes,
maybe it's just called sustaining. I did see on your website you had 3 different programs, but I wasn't sure if they were tiered.
yes, that's a good question. They are tiered. And again, kind of bringing it back to the beginning when we talked about business, that was all demand. That was demand from the clients. Like I built the first, if you will, foundational program, which is my body take back program. And after that, or towards the end of that, a lot of those women were like, okay, what's next? And I'm like, I don't know. You want to give me more money and keep working with me? Like, okay, this is a novel idea. And so again, I just built the next program, and that was like an intermediate program. And then again, after that, some of them were also like, okay, what's next? I'm like, oh shoot, like this is becoming kind of a problem. Like, okay. And so then I built the next 12 weeks. So yeah, ideally I have clients that go through all 9 months with me. And those are some of my most successful clients. I mean, I still have some of them today that have been with me for 9, 10. I even offer a continued coaching program now. So it's like, you can stay in the community and be a part of it and have the accountability. But the biggest thing, Robyn, like to kind of go with your question, is that my whole philosophy when it comes to coaching, and especially again, like working with women, is the old saying of, if you give a man a fish or a woman a fish, they'll eat for a day. But if you teach them to fish, then they can eat for life. Right. And that's how I design my coaching programs. Yes, my bank account would love for me to need you every single day, but as a coach and someone who genuinely cares, that's not fulfilling for me. So I want to give you as much as I can in those first 12 weeks, to the point where if you do want to go off on your own, you have the tools that you need. And if you want to, learn the next advanced level, I'll give you those. And if you want to learn the next advanced level, I'll give you those. But there's no secret that I'm keeping. It's like, take everything, apply it, and just go run your life. Like, how frustrating to be a human, especially a female, because I think the industry is so male dominant, and to not know how to operate this like amazing machine. Like, we have the keys to this absolutely amazing machine, and no one wants to really tell us how to use it. We have to do all these fad diets and try what this person did and try what that person did. Like, why not just try what works for us and stick with it?
Mm-hmm.
And is nutrition a part of your program?
Mm-hmm. Yes, heavily. And in the same, philosophy, where I'm not going to tell you what I eat. People are like, well, what do you eat in a day? It doesn't really matter what I eat in a day, because
I know what you eat on Thursdays.
Yes, girl. Yes. Eat that burger.
I'm having that tonight. I'm on a Tuesday.
Okay, I like it. But yeah, it's more just about educating you. Okay, what does Robyn need? What is Robyn's lifestyle? Does Robyn sit at a desk all day? Or is Robyn a busy mom of 3 kids that is, running miles in the morning, chasing kids all day, and then, I don't know, likes to do some strength training at night? Okay, well, you're going to need 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
So my nutrition is based on, what do you need? What is going to work with your lifestyle? Again, if you're a busy mom and I'm trying to tell you that you have to eat this particular meal and your whole family's eating this meal, you're not going to stick with it. And then you're not going to keep the results. So it's like, what can we create in your arena that is going to work for you and give you the results that you want? And again, that's what I want for you.
It's a full program. So anybody
Yep.
that signs up gets a full program with you.
Yes, they get mindset coaching, nutrition coaching, workout videos, coaching, and then as well as just like community and accountability. So for like the 12 weeks, it's really why I called it Body Take Back, because it really is just taking it all back, from the nutrition to the mindset to the fitness. Like, we got to take it back, and then we can go to the next level if you want to.
And how do our listeners contact you?
So the best way to the best way to get in touch with me is Instagram, which is sometimes blows my mind that like we can build, whole businesses on that platform. But yeah, Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me. You can always just send me a message. I try to respond to them, same day if I can. But that's the best place. That's where I kind of hang out the most. And that's where I just like to connect and like create and just kind of show my personality on there too.
Yeah.
And then I can send them to my website.
Great.
Yeah. I love your Instagram. It really shows your lifestyle.
It is.
Thank you.
It's very happy.
Yes.
Thank you. It doesn't feel like that
live.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Ashley. It has been a pleasure talking to you and learning more about you and your journey and your struggles and your success. And we are very excited to have you on.
Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, I got to get both of you ladies. I'll have to send you a message, but we'll have to get both of you ladies maybe into my program, and you guys could do it together. And then you guys could like kind of hold each other accountable and have some fun things to work towards.
That would be
That'd
awesome.
be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Okay. Yeah. We'll have to chat more about that.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you again. And to our listeners,
You're welcome.
stay awesome.
And keep reaching for your anything.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
Thank
you, ladies. Bye.